On today's episode of Lawyers with Game, we're talking with Druids AI about how artificial intelligence can help revolutionize video game development. We hope you join us. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Lawyers with Game. I'm your host, Darius Gambino. I'm an intellectual property attorney with over 25 years of experience helping clients with issues related to patents, trademarks, and copyrights. I am also a lifelong gamer. I've been in love with video games since the arcade days, and I've played on the original Atari, the Sega Dreamcast, and now the PlayStation 5. I'm with the law firm of Saul Ewing in Philadelphia, and you can find me on the PlayStation Network under Eagles Fan 71 gamertag. Today, I'm really excited to have with me the founders of Druids AI, a company that is aimed at making the process of developing video games smoother and more efficient. So today we have Miguel Oliveira, Bruce Morrison, and Jesse Helton from Druids AI. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hey, Darius.
nice to be here.
Thanks for having us.
I'm happy to have you. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. And keep in mind that this discussion is intended to be very general and high level. It is not intended to be legal advice. If you need actual legal advice, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to help you. So today we're going to be talking about one of those hot button issues, artificial intelligence. Everyone's talking about artificial intelligence, but today we're going to be talking about it in the context of video game development. And what Druids AI is doing is developing some software that's going to help video game developers develop games more efficiently and faster. So before we get into all that, guys, I wanted to ask you, starting with Miguel, you all have deep histories in the video game industry. You're award-winning. Can you each tell me a little bit about your background in the industry and how you got to where you are today with Druids AI?
I'm happy to, Darius. Thanks for having us. Really excited about this opportunity. And hi to the audience, everybody that is listening to the podcast. Well, I've gotten into games about 25 years ago by now, mostly focused on the business and e-commerce distribution side of things. Started out for a German game publisher called Feta Media back in the days. And I started up their US representation, basically. That's been quite a while. Actually, before that, you just mentioned how you started out with gaming. We just had a conversation the other day. For me, it was the Commodore C64. But before that, and nobody knows and talks about that, it was actually the Commodore VIC-20, which in Germany is actually called VC-20 for some linguistic issues. So after setting up business for that German game publisher, I launched my own games company, which ultimately we sold to Square Enix. Back then, it was called SCI Eidos. It was an online white label distribution company who would take casual games, package them up, and then offer white label solutions to online portals. Very successful, very exciting business back in the days. From there, joined Encore Publishing, software game distribution company, and then got recruited by Wild Tangent, who I stayed with for quite a while. I'm excited to actually see them relaunch one of their most successful games, Fate, which was sold several million times and now is being remade. So super stoked about that. Gamigo, a German game publisher, and somehow you hear the German thing in there all the time, right? So I grew up in Germany, so my network's pretty strong in that part of the world. Acquired Wild Tangent 2019. I stayed with them for another couple of years. And then last August, initiated my step back into entrepreneurship, which I'm very excited to actually have Bruce and Jesse here to join me.
Yeah, no, I remember the Commodore 64. I don't think we could afford one in my house at the time, but I certainly remember the games that were played on there. So yeah, I'll flip it to Bruce now to give his background. Talk about some of those awards.
Absolutely. I got my start as part-time holiday help for a Mac game company in New York City. So like I was a Mac gamer in the mid to late 90s, which was the worst time for the Mac possible. I mean, like Microsoft owned a stake in the company. I mean, it was going downhill. So I got a job at a Mac game company, of course. That makes perfect sense. Quickly rose to the ranks of producer. Got a couple of awards. But really it positioned us so that when the iPhone came out, we were in that ecosystem. We were living, breathing Apple development all day long. So the iPhone was a no-brainer. I had 4 games on the App Store the day the App Store went live. As you can imagine, that did significant numbers and did great for us in the company. Went on to make a buttload more of iPhone games, but I also got to do a stint with Xbox console development, specifically to bring Bungie's Marathon to the Xbox. So that was a lifelong passion project of mine, being a Mac gamer. In the mid to late 90s, Marathon was about the only thing we could hang our hat on. Uh, as time went on, Jesse and I worked together at a couple of companies building out iPhone games. And later on, I don't want to steal too much of his thunder, but he and I formed a game studio together, building first person shooters in Unreal Engine, which is how we kind of figured out what an AI could or couldn't do. And then that's how we actually met Miguel. So I'll stop there because Jesse, there's a lot of overlap with my background going forward from there.
Yeah, Jesse, please.
All right. So I started programming 46 years ago. I started programming on a ZX80, which had 1 kilobyte of RAM. So that's how I got my start in programming. And I've been a gamer since I don't remember not being a gamer. And then professionally, I've been making games for 30 years. In my time as a professional, I have shipped about 70 titles, and I have shipped games on I've shipped PC, mobile, console. I've shipped on every console from the Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast all the way up to modern Gen 5 hardware. Some notable titles that I've worked on. Words with Friends. I was the first lead engineer on NBA Inside Drive for Microsoft. We did that franchise for about 5 years. I was the director of engineering on Five Nights at Freddy's AR, the mobile title. I was the technical director on the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Just random other titles, Duel Masters, Transformers Age of Extinction, Empires and Allies, Epoch Wars. Bruce and I did. Bruce and I at our indie studio, we shipped Exovoid, Carnage, and first person shooter. One of my crowning achievements was Barbie Magic Hairstyler, Windows 1 and Windows 95. So just in general, I'm a programmer, I'm an engineer, but really I'm a problem solver. Code is just a way to solve problems. And I like challenges. Impossible problems are oddly fun for me. A lot of people don't say that, but that's true for me. For what we're doing at Druids, we are an AI company. We are using AI. That core of problem solving, though, I do want to point out that we are making a tool for making game development faster and better and easier. So it is AI, but AI is just the way that we're going about what we're doing. We're making a tool to make your life as a game developer easier.
And as Jesse said, he's the problem solver and I'm the problem creator. So it works well. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Jesse, I'm a huge NBA video game fan. I've played 2K for many years and lots of other games, and I don't remember Inside Drive, so I'm gonna have to go back and check that one out.
Okay, well, Inside Drive, the first one that I worked on was it was supposed to be Inside Drive 99. The that was the year of the lockout. And
Right.
so we actually spent another 6 months on it, and we shipped it as Inside Drive 2000.
Mm.
And then we were like 1 month away from shipping 2001. And then Microsoft said, "No, no, 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 cancel that. We've got a special thing." And then they shipped us a chunk of these silver spray painted PCs, which were the Xbox before anyone knew anything about that device. And so we shipped, I think 3, 4, 5 years of Inside Drive on the original Xbox.
All right, now I got to go find that because I have my original Xbox right here
Yeah.
in this room, in this very room. So I'll have to boot that up. But that was a good segue, Jesse, into what you're doing with Druids AI. I believe the software is called Sage, and it is intended to be an add-on or a complement to Unreal Engine that uses artificial intelligence in certain ways to speed up the processes of developing games. So, I'll throw it out to all three of you, whoever wants to answer. Can you tell me a little bit about how you came up with that concept, and where the software is today, and what you're doing with it today?
I'd love to take on that with the story of it, because there's a lot of discussion around what can AI do, and without going too deep, but it began with two different silos. Jesse and myself, before forming Druids, figuring out from just a game development standpoint, what can you get out of AI? And I think it's important to talk about that we're looking at AI not only like generative, like make me a picture of something, make me a 3D model, but also like the AI that can tell you how to do something, guide you through the process. We used a lot of that and just trying to figure out like what can it do, what can't it do, and when can we get good results. And to speak for Miguel, at the same time, he's exploring what can AI do in Unreal Engine. I think if I remember correctly, Miguel, you're looking first at MetaHuman, which makes a lot of sense. That's a big, 3D characters that Epic with Unreal Engine supports, the MetaHuman system. So it was what can we do with it is where we started first. And I think a lot of AI started that way. It's like, what can it do? It's just sort of establishing a baseline. And I think once we started to see what it was good at and what it wasn't good at, the product molded over time. And I'd say it's simplified, right? Like we kind of started with these grand, ambitious ideas of like, it would, it's like make you an explosion, right? And it's like when you think about what are the steps to that, there's so many steps and there's parts of it, different people involved with an explosion. And instead of making something that addressed one very specific use case, we wanted to know how we could help everyone working in Unreal Engine. So it was like we would go deep and then bring it back out broad. But all of that is to say is over and over again, we realized that just people just want to know how to do something. If they're a new developer, this is a giant, confusing, mysterious box that has so many pieces written by, PhD, brilliant people at Epic writing this code, right? And now we have to interpret it. Or you have seasoned veterans like Jesse here, who, despite his years of working in these different engines, you can pick a brand new part of Unreal and he'll be like, oh, I've never worked in that. I've never worked in the automotive reflective paint coat system, right? Because if you're not working a racing game, you may not be doing that. So you can be a seasoned developer and still need help. And it was time and time again that people told us, we need help. We're asked to do more. We need to get an answer faster. Content online becomes stale. You pull up a YouTube video that's 4 years old, none of the buttons are in the same places anymore. They've changed the names of it. So that's a realized Sage could be generalist to help you and guide you. And once we sort of understood that, everything else started to fall in line, which is all of Sage's abilities are about guiding you, helping you along. What do you do next? Sage will remember what you're doing so that you can come back to it a week later and ask it, where did we leave off? What are we doing now? All those pieces just to make game development easier. And then I think one of the biggest crowning achievements we just released this weekend is a big piece that I'm sure Jesse will want to talk to about in more detail, invocations. But now we allow Sage to, on its own, uh, design a script and run it to do a task for you. We call those like monkey work tasks, things you want or you need to do. You might only need to do it once and it's going to take you a whole bunch of hours and you just have to sit down and do it. We're like, all right, Sage can reduce that to 3 minutes. And so that is the product as it exists now. It's live on our website in an open beta. I'll stop now. I've talked a lot. Let anybody else jump in if you'll follow up with some questions. But I'm really passionate about what Sage is doing and our direction of human first and in control of the AI.
All right.
I'll do
And
it.
Darius,
maybe
I
before
told
Jesse
you we're
jumps
gonna
in with
talk
the
your ear off.
details. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Jesse. Go ahead.
I told you we're going to talk your ear off.
Yeah, no, do it.
Yeah, Jesse, maybe before you join and add more details, right, especially where we are today, I think what you notice is obviously a tremendous amount of passion for gaming, right? Across the three of us at least, right? And we've been in the industry for such a long time. So there's that underlying current of wanting to make gaming more accessible, but also game development, game creation more accessible to anybody, right? As a non-techie co-founder, I got overwhelmed, and Jesse and Bruce forced me to actually start working with the actual development tools. And I've got to tell you, no matter how great they are, they're so overwhelmingly challenging to use. It takes tremendous amount of skill and time and effort and desire. You really have to want to create a game, to go through the painful experience of learning how to manage those tools. And so for me as a non-tech, I'm like, how do you guys do that? It's amazing. So being able to provide something that makes game development, game creation so much more accessible, not just to game professionals, but ultimately, if you take it to the extreme, also to the end user, to the consumer. To me, that's like the major drive that really makes me wake up in the morning. I'm like, okay, what are we going to work on today that we can help make game development, game creation easier and more accessible to truly anybody? We're taking steps to get there, but ultimately, that's the vision. It's really taking our technology to the extreme or taking to the extreme. It ends up being really a technology that helps even consumers being able to create pieces of games and maybe entire games at some point in time. But as long as we keep that vision and that trajectory in mind and being here to be a helper, an assistant, an accelerator, right, a facilitator, an orchestrator sometimes, that really helps us build the layers, the elements that are necessary to deliver on that promise. Yeah. And so Jessica can add much more to
So,
the actual tangible today and here and
all
now.
right. What Miguel, what you were just saying though, I uh Bruce and I walked Miguel through installing Visual Studio, installing the 100 like plugins you have to install before you can just build
So
an Unreal
painful.
project. And the way that you just said this, Miguel, was was how like how can you do this? But in the moment, Miguel said, "Why do you guys put up with this?"
Yeah, truly, truly. It's
And then we're like, "That's what you have to do."
because we want to. Yeah, because there's that
And
desire to create games,
so
right?
um certainly the yeah, I think Bruce was saying we've gone through a lot of iterations in founder terminology. We've pivoted quite a bit from where we started to where we are right now. Just for your viewers to just try to clarify where we're at with Sage. Sage is an in-engine assistant. Sage is your expert assistant. You can simply visualize that it's GPT, but it's inside of Unreal. That is our very core of the feature that we've got. On top of just Sage being just a chat bot, we are keeping track of your context of what you're doing in Unreal. We're one of our contexts that we're sending up to Sage is all of your blueprints. Blueprints are your visual scripting language inside of Unreal. Almost everyone who opens Unreal touches blueprints in some way. Designers use blueprints a lot. If you're looking at blueprint code, then if you just ask Sage, what do these do? Then Sage will just answer you and tell you what your blueprints are doing. Then further features, just to throw out some terms so you have more to talk about what we're doing and how we're doing it. Sage extensions, we have is a feature where we are enabling that anyone who uses Sage can extend the functionality, can extend AI in any way that they want to, bespoke to their game. So Sage extensions are the ability to, it's like MCP in a way, if you know what MCP is. Sage extensions are inside of Unreal. If you know how to write blueprints, then you are an expert at writing a Sage extension. You can make the AI do what you want for your game, for your team. Sage memories are that we're keeping track of what you have been doing. So we have a user that said to Sage immediately, he said, "Call me DC," and now Sage calls him DC in every conversation. And so Sage memories is Sage is with you in your game development process. Sage invocations are a feature that we just released whereby pretty much this, it's kind of scary to say this, but Sage can do anything you ask by writing an invocation for you. We have figured out how to access almost all of the API in Unreal to do something bespoke that you're asking for right now. Design monkey work is a task like, let's say that you are looking at your level and you've got 10,000 trees in your level, but you need to swap them all out. Maybe they're all oak trees and you want to add in some pine trees and some birch trees. What they say like that, design monkey work is what we call that, because a designer who needs to do something like that, that is 1 to 3 hours of poke, 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 poke. Find this tree, swap it out, find this tree, swap it out, find this tree, look at it. I don't know. Maybe that's too many birch trees over there. With a Sage invocation, instead of that 2 or 3 hour task, you can just say to Sage, find all the oak trees in my level and randomly replace 25% of them with pine trees and 15% of them with birch trees. And it will do that in about 2 minutes. So,
Amazing.
we've got so much we can talk about.
And Darius like, oh, more details.
But
Yes.
yeah, there's more questions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all amazing. Just having kind of like an assistant that's sitting next to you, kind of mirroring what you do on a daily basis as a developer and helping you automate those tasks. I was going to ask you about legal issues next, but I think that this question is more appropriate. This is something Miguel and I have talked about in the past, is the budgets for games over the past couple of years. 10 years ago, the budget to produce and market one of my favorite games, The Witcher 3, was around 100 million. And the budgets these days are a half a billion and more for games. And then, on the flip side, you have games come across like last year, like Balatro, which was probably produced and marketed for under $500,000, become one of the nominees for Game of the Year, and it's an amazing, simple game. So my question for each of you, and this plays into how you're helping to streamline game development: are we spending too much to develop games these days?
I think that's going to be a question for every single game studio to decide on how they want to answer it. The question that really bothers us more is like, are we spending more than is necessary, right?
Yeah.
And are there ways to help mitigate for that budget inflation? as Bruce and Jesse illustrated earlier, we're not generative AI, which is really important to us, right? We are an assisted AI solution. And as such, we want to help accelerate the processes. So we're really procedural, so to speak. And from that point of view, we expect everything just to be able to be done faster. The onboarding of team members, the training of team members, the introduction of team members to new projects, even let's say crossover from, let's say, a different engine to Unreal, right? If you need to be trained, you have some game design, game development experience, but not in that particular engine. All of that, as long as we can help you get up to speed faster, get things done faster that are maybe tedious, time consuming, and just simply laborious, but they don't add what we would call to the finding fun factor, right? We're all for that because it's basically like, if you want to create a beautiful house, you need to lay down some pipes, yes, but you got to try to get that done as efficiently as possible so you can really focus on the beauty of it. Beauty in gaming is really fun, right? And as the more you can actually focus on the fun factor, the more you get those opportunities like the Botros, which really have identified how to get consumers excited and captivated by the fun of the game versus just visual appeal and network optimizations and matchmaking logistics and all that is just necessary, but it should be just a checkbox that can be handled and like taken care of. And so that's really where we are trying to focus on to ultimately then help bring down those budgets and be able to get games to market faster because there's a time value of money in there, right? If it takes you a year to get a game to market, it's better than if it takes you 3 years, not only in terms of absolute budget but also in terms of cash flow coming back into the company faster. So that's really our big focus.
Jesse, you wanted to comment on that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to comment in a slightly different way. There's an elephant in the room with AI, I think, which I think that even if people are like consciously aware, I think so many people have some type of a fear, like a visceral fear of AI is going to take my job. And I was having a chat with a developer recently where um, I expressed a thought in this way. If for like a 20 to 30 person team that I've worked on, the thought that like a double A game, let's say that there are 30 people on a team. The thought that AI could even just double efficiency of that team, and then looking at the cost, because that's a cost of like this many head count for this many months or years, that's a cost, right? But if I'm looking at this team and like AI in general could just double the efficiency of that team, then am I saying that instead of 30 people for 2 years, we're going to ship a game like 30 people in 1 year? Or is it 15 people for 2 years? Or like, how does this work out? And if the speed up that we're looking at is greater than 2, like 5, does that mean 6 people for 2 years? Or like, I got the, um, you know, 30 people for 3 months? This all sounds kind of like unreal. It's surreal almost. And something that occurs to me is that when I've been on this team or this team or this team, and let's say that I've got 30 colleagues with me, I don't actually think of them as cogs and replaceable units. I think of them as personalities, and these people's different personalities are what go into making this game what it is. And so I think there's a thought that I saw expressed maybe even yesterday, that AI is not an end-to-end solution. AI is a middle-to-middle solution, meaning that you need a human at the front, a personality, if you will, to say, this is what I want. AI, go do some of these things for me. And then when I see the result, then I need to curate and craft the results I'm getting out of it and make sure that this is really what I want. And so I think that there's some type of a push me, pull me that's going to be happening over the next few years, whereby I don't really think we're going to just cull all the game developers out of the industry. I think there is certainly a shift that's going to happen across all departments and all studios and all games. I think though that I have a positive view that I think we're going to figure out how to do more things and better. And I think that the quality bar of all games, like just you mentioned Balatro, just imagine what one guy with this one idea, if he can just increase the quality or just increase the features, then I think that all game, I think it's going to be a rising tide. All
Yeah.
things are going to get better.
Yep. Bruce, any final thoughts on that?
Going all the way back to the price, how much games are costing to make. I've thought about it a lot. I don't think there's a silver bullet to it. The movie industry is going through a very similar crisis. If you think about it, and like I think it was James Gunn who said that the number one problem is they're not finishing scripts, and I think that problem exists in video games. They're not finishing the loop. It's we'll tune it in live services. We'll find it once we release. I think that's plaguing into this as well. And I don't know if it's just that we have to move at accelerated timelines, so there's no time to find the fun. So we're hoping to find it. And so, but yeah, like timelines are fast and budgets are high. Um, and I think about like what I'm looking forward to on the horizon, and like I don't even know of one AAA game really coming out that I'm even paying attention to right now. And that's unheard of for me. I'm tons of games and niche and everything. The only thing I'm looking forward to is the next Borderlands, because it looks like it's being developed in the old traditional model of 15 years ago, which worked, versus what we're doing now. I said in my intro, I got to bring Marathon to the Xbox, Bungie's Marathon, and now Bungie's bringing a new Marathon out, and I don't know what the hell they're doing. And I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how they got to that point with it and released it. Like, what's going on? Like, it just seems to be a fundamental crisis. So I have no solutions other than I think that an AI assistant in your editor will solve all these problems. No, I really do think though that like everyone needs a little more help. I think that's really what this is boiling down to. Is I think the technology has actually gotten so mature and now cross pieces. So, all right, actually, I do have a thought on this here. If you want to just roll with this as is or edit it, that's your choice. So, all right, back in the day when like Jesse and I were first making games, right? Like the artist, it might make a 3D model, and he's going to make 3D model. He's going to put the texture, a single texture on it. Maybe it's got a skeleton. He's going to animate it, and you're done, right? Maybe then hands it off to the engineer. The engineer is going to call those little pieces. It's two people that work closely tied to each other. It's like a day or two turnaround, right? Like nowadays, I mean, the lead designer for God of War, like there was a Twitter thread a while back about how long it takes to create a character. Kratos took 2 years to develop. I don't even know how many people had to work on Kratos just from the different texture artists for the different maps and types and different levels of details. And you've got to, if it's, they're using a custom engine, but let's say they're using Unreal Engine, and they're going to use behavior trees to drive this, and they use state machines. And you've got 40 different technologies. Some are very engineering focused, some are very visual design focused, and they've all got to somehow come back together from hair physics for, Kratos is bald, but he's got things still floating around anyway. It's got beard hair physics, right? All of that stuff has to come together, and it takes 20 to 30 people now. And so, yeah, things slip. It's harder. It's not a 2 weeks to implement an enemy. It's 2 months. It's 2 years sometimes. And that's causing problems. And so if we can solve some of that knowledge gap, if we can allow an artist to to rig and set up their state machines in Unreal Engine without involving a programmer, then yeah, we can solve a lot of that real in-depth time that we're losing to AAA. So I think that's my take on it. Do with that as you will.
What I'm hearing is that Druids AI can fix the video game industry overnight. So,
I
That's
think
it.
so. Why not? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I do believe it can help a lot of people with a lot of different backgrounds,
Yeah.
like who want to make games and just want to make some cool shit.
Talking about, costs and AI in particular, right? I mean, what we also been running into is certainly big AAA studios now actually having to deal with the legal ramifications of AI, right? So that's talking about budgeting. It's another budget element that they have to account for right now. So we have meetings with AAA studios, and they bring in not their business development people, they bring in their head of compliance, right? Because that's top of mind right now to try to figure out. And it's the SVPs of business affairs and legal that are basically giving the green light. Okay, we're good to actually have conversations in depth now. So I think there will be a period of time where AI is going to be still, and I think we're starting to get out of that period where AI is still going to be a thought provoking technology that requires more control and risk management than opportunity, right? Especially for the bigger companies, especially those that are publicly traded, maybe even because there's more governance aspects to consider. But once we get out of that, I think the efficiency gain that will come through AI is going to be tremendously beneficial from a cost savings point of view.
Well, my last two questions for you are going to be rapid fire fastballs. First, what game are you playing the most right now, if anything, and what is your favorite video game of all time? Miguel, I'll start with you.
Oh, what am I playing right now? I play about 2 random mobile games every day, and I make sure to actually delete them from my phone before I go to bed.
Ah,
That's my rule. Now,
okay.
long term and long time favorite, FIFA for sure, which
Okay.
now is not called FIFA anymore, but we
Yeah.
still call it that. And Colin McRae. That's how I earned my midnight oil.
Got it.
PlayStation 2, Colin McRae. That was
Mhm.
it.
All right, Jesse.
Nice. What am I playing right now? All right. I have an 8-year-old son, and so I'm playing a lot of Roblox,
Okay.
and we are playing Strongman's Emulator, and I have 45 rebirths. Those Roblox. We played it a lot. The last console game that I was noodling on was Mario Brothership. Um, I got all the way up to almost the last level. And my favorite game of all time is the original XCOM,
Yeah.
released in either 91 or 92 on a PC. That is my favorite game of all time. And the reason why I think I latched onto that is because it wasn't a specific genre. It was rather the story and the world seemed to drive all the features. And so it was kind of like a lot of different genres all in the same game.
Yep.
But the game is not about the genre. The game is about the world and the story that you're playing.
Right. What we said before, story is important. All right, Bruce, how about you?
I'm playing Slay the Spire. Well, I'm waiting for Slay the Spire 2 and Monster Train 2 right now. That is my go-to. Monster Train on Switch. And then my favorite game of all time will be a big surprise. It's Bungie's original Marathon. I've held a torch for that game. I've got some box copies in here. I got a magazine spread from the remake we did for Xbox. I love that game. It's free. You can go play it on just about anything that has a screen. Hold a special place for Marathon.
Great. Yeah, I'm enjoying Slay the Spire too. I play that
Yeah.
on my Switch from time to time. So that's
Excellent. Yeah.
fun game. Another
Mhm.
simple, fun game. Uh,
Yep.
so all right, well, We've come to our last question, which is, what's in store for Druids AI throughout the rest of 2025 and looking into 2026? Bruce, since we just were with you, let's start with you.
All right. I mean, first up is we're getting us onto the Fab marketplace for Unreal Engine. So for people who don't know, that is where plugins such as ours can be downloaded and installed to the engine. So we're in an open beta right now. So it's moving out of that beta into the first release product on the Fab store. So that's coming up with a lot of goodies about what Fab can do. And I'll let Jesse get to talk about those because he's doing that hard work.
Okay. Sure. What's in front of me right at the moment, engineering, we are next features we're looking at in Sage are we've gotten quite a lot of requests to upload my game design documents. And so we're about to dig into how do we do a good job at reading your documents, whatever documents those are for you. And also we're looking at how to do a deeper, more comprehensive search into all of your project so that Sage has more visibility and can see everything that you're working on so that you can ask anything about anything. Blueprint writing is in our future. It's technically we know the pieces of how to do this, but we're taking that slower than others out there because we want to make sure to get that right. So
Okay.
those are the big things on my mind at the moment, but there will be 10 other big things on our mind because you just said 26. That is so
Yeah.
far away. That, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, last word for you, Miguel.
Oh, we're so excited about the upcoming official launch on fab.com. So that's really sometimes things just converge and they just like the universe just makes things happen. And we're excited about the traction that we're seeing right now. All the charts are going up and to the right. And that's encouraging us also to resume our fundraising efforts. And yeah, we're welcoming angels, VCs. That's going to be a big effort for September, October, still before the end of the year. So yeah, super excited about that. We're also entertaining conversations about other engines outside of Unreal, frankly. Yeah, still a lot of sizable proprietary engines out there. And so there's some discussions around custom proprietary work, which would also be exciting from a technology development point of view, but also client development. So yeah, it's bright future ahead.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that is all the time that we have for today. If you have any questions about any of the issues that we raised on the podcast, drop them into the comments and we will try to answer them without providing any real legal advice, of course. I want to thank my guests today, Miguel, Bruce, Jesse from Druids AI, Sage, check it out, go get it. And we will see you next time on Lawyers with Game. This is Darius Gambino, host of Lawyers with Game. If you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe. And if you want more video game content, check out some of our linked videos.